He also asserted, and I quote, "We had to make this pledge because we know that the so-called unprecedented infrastructure development of the Mahama administration was fantasy, existing in the Green Book and not on the ground." End of quote. It bears mentioning, ladies and gentlemen, that it will not be the first time that President Akufo Addo has made such comments about the contents of the Green Book or the stellar record of his immediate predecessor, President John Dramani Mahama. On 7th May 2019, he had this to say to the members of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs who had paid him a visit at the Flagstaff House. "Before I came here, I was told by my biggest competitor that they had done all the roads in Ghana and that they are responsible for an unprecedented infrastructure development. Everywhere I go, I do not think there is any institution that had not talked to me or has not raised the issue about roads in their area as their principal concern." End of quote. President Akufo Addo took this narrative a notch higher when he stated in his fourth and hopefully final State of the Nation address on 20th February 2020 that, and I quote, "Artist impressions had been passed off as constructed goods." Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the president's misrepresentations of the Green Book predate his ascension to the highest office of the land. He had claimed during the launch of the NPP manifesto in 2016, and that manifesto, which has, in the fullness of time, proven to be the most deceptive and dishonored in the Ghanaian political history, that the Green Book was full of artist impressions. In summary, therefore, the president, through various statements, has sought to portray three things. One, that the contents of the Green Book are not real and cannot be found on the ground or anywhere in the country. Two, that the book is filled with artist impressions. Three, that his predecessor, President John Dramani Mahama, has said that he did all roads in Ghana, but no evidence of this exists anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the facts as they relate to each of the president's claims are as follows. The Green Book, officially titled Accounting to the People, is arguably the most famous book that chronicles the achievements of the Ghanaian government. Its contents have been widely publicized and are very well known to the generality of the Ghanaian people. Many will therefore be surprised at the effort put in by President Akufo Addo to convince himself otherwise. Having actively participated in the compilation of the book, which highlights the boldest and biggest capital investment in the history of Ghana, in the history of the Fourth Republic, I beg your pardon, I can state with absolute certainty that the president's claim that it contains fantasy projects that cannot be found on the ground is an outright untruth. I must at this stage point out that the team that put the book together has such membership as former presidential advisor, Dr. Valerie Sawyer, former Deputy Chief of Staff, Johnny Osei-Kofi, and former presidential staffers, James Adjani Mboating and Dr. Pesa White. Indeed, Mr. Francis Nsia gracefully designed the book. So what you see as a final product is actually the handiwork of Mr. Francis Nsia, a brilliant graphic designer. In view, well, I understand Mr. Nsia is here, so perhaps he could acknowledge the commendation. In view of the abundance of evidence over the accuracy of the contents of the Green Book, there are only two possible explanations for the consistent falsehood of the president on the matter. It is possible that despite having heard about it, President Akufo Addo has never cited a copy of the book and has thus not had the opportunity to peruse it, in which case he would have been compelled to rely on the same pedestrian propaganda of low-level MPP communicators. This would not be a far-fetched theory, in view of the several times he has displayed a total lack of attention to detail and faced embarrassment when multiple plagiarized speeches have been thrust before him to read. We all recollect how the same cavalier approach to governance and his lack of attention to detail led to his approval of the most inflated contract in the history of Ghana, the American Ovation deal, only for it to be withdrawn and for us to be told by sources with knowledge of the matter that he had been misled into granting executive approval for sale. It is also entirely possible that he is fully apprised of the contents of the Green Book but has chosen the path of falsehood insofar as it enables him mislead fanatical supporters of the MPP or unsuspecting members of the Ghanaian public, and in the process hide his dubious reputation as the least performing of all Ghanaian leaders, at least in the area of infrastructure and capital investments. Either way, this would be most unbecoming of an occupant of the high office of president. That office is associated with certain basic requirements, which include candor, thoroughness, and truthfulness. The president of a country must speak in ways that leave no room for doubt or the potential for him to be ridiculed or derided. For the avoidance of doubt, there is not a single project in the Green Book which does not exist on the ground today or for which clear context has not been provided regarding its status. Anybody interested in the truth would simply match what is in the Green Book to what exists on the ground. Such an exercise, ladies and gentlemen, will yield only one outcome, which is that the work shown in the book are as real as they come, and evidence of them are abundant. How can President Akufo Addo, for instance, look the people of Ghana in the eye and say that the Rage Hospital does not exist, when everybody knows it does, and that on the 4th of March, 2020, he toured it to ostensibly ascertain the state of preparedness of that magnificent edifice towards the fight against COVID-19. Surely, the president would not have Ghanaians believe that what he saw on his visit to the hospital was fantasy, or that he was walking on the pages of the Green Book when he undertook that tour. Or is the president telling the people of Ghana that when on the same 4th of March 2020, he toured the ultramodern Terminal 3 at the Kotoka International Airport to learn about their COVID-19 preparedness, he was inspecting the Phantom facility? If he were ever in any doubt about the existence of that terminal, he would certainly be aware that one of his daughters operates a prime duty-free shop at that facility. Again, can President Akufo Addo describe the University of Ghana Medical Center, built at a cost of $217 million by his predecessor, and which his own government has earmarked as the treatment center for foreign diplomats who contract COVID-19, as fantasy or unreal? It does the image of the president and the office he occupies no good that he continues to live in denial of what his own eyes, I beg your pardon, have seen, and what every Ghanaian can testify to. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, on the second claim that the Green Book is filled with artist impressions, it represents yet another exercise in denial by the president. The Green Book, a copy of which I have here, is a 210-page publication containing a total of 584 pictures. These pictures represent actual projects which had either been completed at the time of compiling the book, or for those that had not been completed, progress made on them. There are exactly 5 artist impressions which depicted what those projects on which work was being done at the time of the publication, but had not reached a stage of completion that could be shown, would look like when completed. These are clearly captioned as such in the book and include the $298 million Kejetia market in Kumasi, which, by the way, represents the single largest capital investment in the history of the Ashanti region. Terminal 3 at the Kotoka International Airport, and the whole airport, among others. To be very clear, ladies and gentlemen, these projects have been completed as I speak, and their existence cannot be denied. It is therefore a gratuitous falsehood for President Akufo Addo and his MPP to say that the Green Book is filled with artist impressions. All of these are imposing physical structures that no one can miss. The president's assertion that President Mahama had stated that he constructed all roads in Ghana during his tenure, and that those roads cannot be found, is yet another falsehood that must not come from the occupant of the highest office of the land. I wish to put it beyond doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that President Mahama has never made such a claim anywhere or at any time. We would like to throw a direct challenge to the president to show where and when his predecessor said this, or forever hold his peace. It is obvious that President Akufo Addo invented this falsehood in a bid to mask his abysmal performance in road construction, as is the case in every other sector of national life. Between pages 100 and 113, the Green Book lists over 200 roads that had either been completed, were ongoing at the time, or which had been awarded on contract. Here too, I wish to state for emphasis that there is not a single road which was said to have been done in the Green Book that does not exist. No amount of consistent untruth about this from the president can change this fact. Perhaps the clearest indication yet of the total falsehoods inherent in the president's claims has often come from Nana Akufo Addo himself. He has never ceased telling the people of Ghana that his wobbly government has paid road contractors as much as 2 billion Ghana cedis in arrears owed them by the previous NDC government. Unless President Akufo Addo is publicly admitting to paying contractors for no work done, it is extremely illogical and totally disrespectful to the people of Ghana for the same person to say that no road projects have been done by President Mahama, or that the roads exist only in the Green Book. And the president's statements is on the screen. This is gleaned from the site of the presidency of the Republic of Ghana. Here, he states that he is paying road contractors, in fact, clearing President Mahama's debts. So I wish to ask, if President Mahama had not constructed roads, and the roads exist only in the Green Book, why is President Akufo Addo paying contractors? It is perfectly legitimate for Ghanaians to demand that their roads be fixed, especially in areas where work on roads started by his predecessor have stalled because of vindictive but totally unjustified investigations carried out by his government, which yielded no results. A case in point is the Cocoa Road projects, which he caused to be stopped because he claimed an investigation was being conducted in it. We are aware that the investigation cost $10 million and yet did not turn out a single piece of evidence to suggest that there was any wrongdoing of any sort in the award of those contracts. $10 million can construct a good number of roads in various parts of this country. President Akufo Addo chose to waste it on frivolous investigations that yielded nothing. So when he goes to functions and the chiefs and people of Ghana demand that their roads be fixed, it is a legitimate call that he must respond to by actually doing the roads and not peddling on truth about his predecessor. As far as roads are concerned, ladies and gentlemen, and seeing as the president's latest false claims about the Green Book were made at the commissioning of the Tema Motorway Interchange project, which he has sought to appropriate in terms of its conception, it is necessary at this stage to put to rest what we consider to be a needless debate about whose brainchild it was or who did the heavy lifting required to ensure its execution. The minority caucus in Parliament last week set the record straight, but just so that anyone out there who is not yet aware of the facts surrounding the project is left in no doubt, I wish to reiterate this, also in the hope that it jolts President Akufo Addo and his government into reality about the true state of affairs. The Tema Motorway Interchange project was funded by a Japanese grant of $57 million applied for in 2013 by the Mahama administration. The survey for the development of the project and the tender process began at the behest of the Japanese government through the Japanese International Cooperation Agency in March 2015. The survey and design were completed in December 2016, and a detailed report presented in February 2017, when the Akufo Addo government was barely a month old. The only contribution of the Akufo Addo government was to go through the mere formality of signing the grant agreement with JICA after work had already been done prior to the assumption of power. The rest, of course, was to go through the motions and respect the agreements so signed. It is beyond debate, therefore, that for all intents and purposes, the Tema Motorway Interchange is the brainchild and handiwork of President John Dramani Mahama.